Hi and welcome to Murray's Handy Hints. Today we're going to have a look at one of the most popular accessories for scooters, the top box. Top boxes are measured in litres and they generally go from 26 litres right through to 50 litres like this one here. Now you've got to keep in mind that if you've got a little 50cc scooter, you're not going to buy yourself a 50 litre top box. It's just going to overwhelm the scoot. So you'll be more likely buying a 26 to 30 litre top box. It'll be capable of carrying your helmet and any sort of extra bits and pieces when you go shopping and things like that. If you've got a big maxi scoot and you're going touring, sure, you're going to consider a 50 litre top box. You can fit two full face helmets in, one for you, one for your pillion, and anything else on top of that as well. Let's have a look at some of the features of the typical top box. Now, as you can see from this particular top box, it's got reflectors on the rear, which is a great feature, very, very nice actually. The reflector on the rear is a really good feature. Keep in mind the reflectors are at eye height for drivers, so it's a terrific position for a reflector to be, up nice and high, right in the driver's face. The locks are slightly different from top box to top box, but today we're going to show you a Gibby top box just to give you a general idea of how the locking mechanism works. Keep in mind the advantage to a top box is they are lockable. It does give you that extra little bit of security, and let's have a quick look at this Gibby one and see how it goes. So with this particular top box, the hinge mechanism's at the top, the locking mechanism's at the bottom. When you close the box, the hinge mechanism goes in at the top, the locking mechanism goes in at the bottom, and then you turn the key to lock the top box. Now this does two things. It locks the top half of the box here, but it also secures the box to the base plate. We're going to have a quick look at the base plate in just a second. Okay, now here's the big difference between lockable and permanent top boxes. Now obviously a permanent top box will be bolted onto the back of your bike, onto the rear rack, and it'll stay there forever. It's not removable. However, the majority of generic top boxes now come removable, and that's where the base plate comes into it. This base plate will be fixed onto the rear rack of your bike, and the box will fit on top of that. When we lock the top box with the key, it'll lock the two items together, and they're not removable. It'll be there as a permanent fixture. So if anybody did come along and decide they were going to nick your top box, they weren't going to get away with it without taking the whole bike. So that's very unlikely indeed. Okay, now the next thing to consider is whether you're going to buy a genuine top box or a generic one. Now we've looked at generic top boxes so far. You can also buy genuine top boxes. This is a great example from Vespa. Very, very nice. It's colour coded to suit the bike. Vespa decal, common keys. There's all sorts of added features that can come with genuine top boxes. The other thing you'll notice on this particular one is it comes with a backrest as well. Now your generic top box can also come with a backrest, so don't worry too much. You can still get a backrest with your generic one. And your pillion rider will absolutely love it because it puts them between you and the top box. Doesn't matter how hard you accelerate, they're not going anywhere. So most of us are probably going to end up with a generic top box. They're quite a lot cheaper as a general rule. Have all the same sort of features. This one's got a backrest and a reflector on the back. It's lockable and removable, and you would expect to pay less for a generic top box in matte black than you would with a colour-coded one that's a genuine article. So one last feature of the top box, especially the generic ones for some reason or other, is they come with a carry handle. Now, because the top boxes are lockable and removable, you can remove it off the back of your bike. You can actually use this as a day bag if you like. I know a lot of commuters do. They basically take these off the back of their scoot in the morning, walk into the office, they've got their lunch, all the bits and pieces they need for the day, put it next to their desk, do their day's work, come back, lock it back onto the back of the bike and ride home. Okay, so the last thing to consider when we're talking about top boxes is whether your bike has a rear rack on it. Now keep in mind, a lot of scoots do come with a rear rack on them. However, if yours doesn't, you're going to have to consider that you will have to buy a rear rack, and it will add to the cost, but I'll tell you what, it's worth it. Okay, so here's a quick summary of my handy hints for picking a top box. The first and most important thing is size. Make sure that you pick the right size to suit the size of your scooter and for your needs. If you've got a laptop, for example, you're going to take to work, take your laptop to your local scooter store, put it inside the top box and make sure you feel comfortable that it's the right size for you. The next thing, of course, is whether it's removable and if that's important to you. Whether it's got a large reflector on the back and how important that is to you. A backrest. Backrests are really important to the pillion. You might not appreciate it, but your pillion passenger will love it if you're a regular pillion rider. The rear rack. Now, of course, that's important because it's going to add to the cost if you don't have a rear rack fitted to your scoot. And since we're talking cost, The variation in prices for top boxes can be very, very wide, from around about $100 for an entry level, right through to $900 for a factory fitted top box and rack combination. Well, you know what? That's Muzz's handy hints for this time. I'm looking forward to seeing you again soon.